So, you've decided that you want to write a book. How are you going to carve the time out of your extremely busy life to write this book? Well, firstly, you need to be asking, how much time are you willing to give up? We need to weigh up the time that you need to give to writing a book and the time or the benefit of writing that book. You know, what is it worth in the end? And the first thing I want to say is, well, have you got a real strategic imperative for writing a book? Because until the importance of writing a book outweighs the time that you have to give up, you're just not going to start. You're not going to believe that it's worth the effort. So what do you want your book to do? I'm sorry, I keep doing this. I keep asking a different question. What do you want your book to do? If you want your book to act as a hook for speaking engagements, brilliant. Your book is a fantastic way to introduce you to people who might, first of all, have you on their podcasts, and that's a great way to market your book. But also, if you have the capacity to speak on stage around the world, incidentally, on the topic of your book, then having a book, a new book this year, is the best way to say, hi, I'm here, I've got this great story. Because people are always looking for new writers, people with new ideas. So I want you to be thinking, what is the purpose of your book? What's the outcome? What do you want to see happen once your book is published? If it's to get on speaking stages, that is a great reason. If it's to act as the backbone of a training program or a coaching program or a consulting program, that too is a fantastic reason to have a book. If your book is simply to capture up knowledge that you have and you want to just pop it on the shelf when it's done, then maybe that's not such a good reason. So the question I ask you, another question, I'm sorry about this. The question I ask you is your book an end in itself? Once the book is done, filed. Or is your book a means to an end? And this is when it becomes really exciting and interesting to write a book. If your book is to achieve something else, to put you on stages around the world, to act as a manual, to consult with people, this is how you do it. And of course, when you're consulting with them, you'll explain more and in more depth what it is that you really do. But actually, when people come to you, as they will when they read your book, they pass through this procedure, this methodology, this set of values that you have. They know you so much more than if they've just read a brochure or seen you on the web. So I urge you, think seriously about what is the impact, what is the outcome you want from the book that you have published. Because if we can tip those scales, if the reason for having a book outweighs the time that you will need to invest in making it happen, nothing like it. So how much time, you're wondering, how much time will it take? Jackie and I have been writing books for 30, 35 years. I don't really want to think about how long we've been writing books. And so we've come to understand exactly how much time it will take. In fact, on the last book that we wrote together, we actually did a 12-week live stream. We actually every week for an hour explained, this is what we've done this week, this is what we've done next week. And what we found was that if we were very structured in our approach, if we managed the project efficiently, and I'll share more with you how you could do that too a little bit later, if you manage this efficiently, it will take you no more than an hour a day to write a book for a period of time. That depends on holidays, vacation, work, the rest of your life. But broadly speaking, if you can allocate an hour a day, now, it is not exactly an hour a day, it changes, but also you may be the kind of person who wants to spend an entire day working on your book, drafting the structure, making it work. So that is 7 hours a week. You might spend them all in one day, or you might spend 2 half days on it. It depends how the muse strikes you. I personally, I don't like to work at 10 o'clock every morning or 6 o'clock every morning. I wake up and I think today's the day. Then I'm going to work on this part of the book or this chapter or this set of interviews. But how you like to work, you will know. Broadly speaking, then, I'm going to suggest as a rough rule of thumb, it may take you a little longer to start with, an hour a day, 7 hours a week. How long it takes depends a little bit on what else is going on in your life. But there are, broadly speaking, 12 steps or 12 stages in writing the book. And all of your effort is up front. Crafting the idea, doing the research, doing the writing. But over time, it fades away. Actually, I realize I should be doing that way for you so that you can. It fades away. Your work is all upfront, and then it becomes the work of the publisher, the service company that is helping you get your book out. So your effort is front loaded and tails away over time. A good friend asked me a question about exactly how much time are we talking here? A year, 2 years, 6 months? To be brutally truthful, Jackie and I, are able to write books from blank page to a book on Amazon in about 12 weeks. That is unnaturally fast, but it's because we know exactly what we need to be doing. We know we need to be doing 20 plus interviews for our books. That's the way we like to do it. We know we need to be, at this point, talking to the typesetters. We know at this point we need to be talking to the printers. So we know exactly what needs to be done. And I'll share with you that exact process a little bit later on. It will take you longer than 12 weeks. I would budget for about a year to get your book out and done. So if you want your book to appear this time next year, you need to start now. You're also going to be thinking about vacation time, summer vacation, or the Christmas celebrations, New Year's celebrations, because that will stop you being able to speak to people or get things done. But if you think about it is now, whatever month it is, day it is that you're seeing this, whether live or recorded on LinkedIn or YouTube, a year from now, you could have a book in your hands and be sharing that with the guests, the clients, the community, the colleagues. That's a good rule of thumb, about a year. And initially, about an hour a day. I hope that's some help to you. How do you carve the time out of your busy life? This book has to be worth something to you. It has to outweigh the time that you have. I can see Bernie is also here. Thank you so much for coming in, Bernie. Yes, Bernie. Yeah, that was great. I never thought of that. This idea from Rebecca Marsh at Rutledge, title and subtitle as the potential solution. Love that. And also, she was very forthright. Yes, publishers want to get books into bookstores, but they know that people search for books largely online. You don't go to a bookstore to just wildly browse for something very, very specific. You will largely search online for that. So even the mainstream publishers are very concerned with what are the key words that you're putting in your title. And people are out there, aren't they? They're searching for answers to the problems that they have. So we've got to remember that Amazon, Apple, if you do a podcast, YouTube, to some extent LinkedIn, they are all search engines. People are out there looking for solutions to their problems. So if you can frame your book as a problem that your clients or colleagues or community has, and here is the solution, they will find you because people are actively looking to solve their problems. I can't believe how effective books are in terms of getting found. And they're also much longer lived than any post you can post on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever social media is your fashion, because it goes in the feed and within minutes, within hours, it's gone. But a book is there and is listed on Amazon, wherever, forever. A book will give you good traction for years to come. In fact, very quick, almost a warning, really. Jackie and I wrote, I think you know this, The 7 Failings of Really Useless Leaders. And that title, I mean, it's a naughty pastiche on Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. What we realized, so here's the punchline first, we realized that we should have written another book very soon after. A book every 2 years is what we try to do, and ideally a book every year, because you fade in people's memory. So this book was brilliant for us because I was teaching and speaking on stage around the world for 5 years after publishing this book. But then, of course, the new knowledge wasn't there when this faded in people's memory. So we now publish a book a year, as well as working with other people to help them publish their books. So it's absolutely imperative that you think about what it is you want to achieve with your book. But a book is the most long-lived piece of marketing you will ever do. By the way, I've been talking really about non-fiction, and that's really, I think the many men and women that we speak to, the people here on LinkedIn, will be thinking about perhaps a business book, perhaps something to support their community, perhaps for their colleagues. If you're interested in fiction, this approach possibly isn't going to work for you. The techniques, The technical information about typesetting and publishing and editing, that will all be the same. But this session is principally about non-fiction. It may be that if you have the idea for a memoir, a business memoir, or a memoir that teaches something, these techniques may also be useful. And a memoir, frankly, if you're interviewing your family or your friends, your colleagues, your customers, that could be a very great book. In fact, Jackie and I have done a couple of books in that vein, The CEO's Journey, which I talk about a lot, and Reinventing the Future. So that, I think, is worth just bearing in mind. We're talking about business, we're talking about non-fiction, and ideally something that's going to serve your community, your colleagues, your customers. So you're ready to make the commitment to write your book. But what happens when you're done? Well, you need to know the absolute best way to find a publisher for your book. And I'll tell you exactly how to do that when you watch this video.